Hmm. Just taking a moment to settle. You got here. Just sit down, kind of settle in. Going to be practicing our meditation today. And I wanted to share a little bit more about sensing. I've been doing just more reading and research on the way we sense and experience in our bodies. And the way we sense in our bodies is called interoception. And this interoception is how we know what our internal environment is like. And one of the interesting things about this is really paying attention to our interoception helps with that full brain integration. So sometimes we'll talk about talking about versus sensing. You can talk about your feet or you can sense your feet. When you talk about your feet, you're only approaching it from that top of the brain part. You're just thinking about it. But when you're using your interoception, you're actually sensing and you're actually integrating those deeper layers of your brain with your awareness. And this just allows us to be a little bit more fully integrated and not quite so disconnected or disjointed, like we're thinking one thing, feeling another thing. It helps us really pay attention, know and experience what's actually happening in our physical sense. Another one of our senses is called proprioception, and that's how we orient in space. So it's like if I lean over, I know that my right side is actually closer to the ground than my left side. I'm not touching the ground, but my proprioception tells me where I am and oriented in space. And what's interesting is that, these two ways of sensing, interoception and proprioception, actually can extend beyond us too and help us locate ourselves in space, locate ourselves in relation to the things around us. So we can locate ourselves internally. We can locate ourselves in relationship to the ground. And we can locate ourselves in relation to the things around us. And I heard that there are, these two different ways of looking. You can go in and down and relating to the ground. So you're relating to the ground, which can be very grounding, very settling, very much a kind of like a relaxing, let go feeling. And when people who are more prone to this have a tendency to have trouble getting up and go. So they're the type of people that get stuck. They don't move. They're just very, very stuck. They're grounded. So stuck they can't even move. Then there's the other people that are so spatially aware, they're scanning for threat. There's just so much out here that they're aware they're out here that there's more anxiety. These are the people that can't actually feel settled and grounded. They're so aware out here. So what we want is actually a balance between our sensing of ground and spatial awareness and being able to hold both of these. If you're anything like me, you can oscillate back and forth pretty quickly. It's like I can feel really grounded and stuck, and then I can be all panicky and flustered and out here, and then I can be grounded and stuck and then panicky and flustered. But being able to hold both of them at the same time, being able to sense that sense of groundedness and spatial awareness at the same time allows us to be able to actually just really be able to relax and have movement at the same time. So that's what we're going to play around with today. It's just kind of sensing in these different ways. We'll play with what it feels like to actually relax down into the ground. Then we'll take in some spatial awareness and see what happens if we can hold both of them, or if you kind of toggle back and forth, and what that's like for you. And again, this is that mindfulness approach where there's no right or wrong, no good or bad. There's nothing you're trying to achieve as much as it is trying to figure out, oh, that's what my body's doing. I get it. So you're just noticing. You're noticing if you have preference for one or the other. You're noticing if it's really difficult to hold both, or if it's really easy to hold both. Or you notice that your mind has wandered completely and you can't sense anything at all. That's all just noticing. All of that is mindfulness. And so our practice is just noticing over and over and over again, just deliberately bringing back to wherever we're at and letting that be here, whatever you notice. And so with that, we'll go ahead and start our practice. So as we begin to turn that attention inward, beginning with the breath, using that breath as a cue to, oh yes, now it's time to practice. Now it's time to set everything else aside and just be right here, right now. You can go back to thinking about whatever you were thinking about in a little bit. But right now, just breathing. Maybe even taking a few slow, deliberate breaths to just reacquaint yourself with your breath right now in this moment. Or you just simply notice. Notice how your breath is, how it wants to be just right now. Feeling the air at your nose. And that little bit of movement right there at your nose. Almost as if you're inhaling, scenting. Just picking up on the aroma of breath. And from your nose, following the breath through your throat and down into your chest. Noticing the rise and fall of your collarbones as you breathe. Feeling the rib cage gently move, perhaps up and down, or backward to forward, or side to side. Just noticing those little movements in the rib cage as the ribs gently expand and open with the inhale, relaxing back down with the exhale. Noticing the breath in your back, perhaps feeling the ribs expand in your back with your inhale. And now relaxing back down with the exhale. And dropping down into the belly, noticing any movement in the belly with your breath. Whether you're holding yourself in tightly, or if the breath expands all the way down to your hip bones. No judging, just allowing whatever breath is here. Maybe noticing the movement of your breath, filling your torso, that extending from your hips all the way up to your collarbones on the inhale, and then relaxing back with the exhale. Or that expansion as the chest opens, the sternum lifts, the back extends to the back with the inhale, and then relaxing back down with the exhale. And then doing that quick scan through your body, noting the physical sensations that are present right now. Just taking inventory, seeing what's here. You don't have to fix things. You don't have to understand what's going on. Just a quick touch in. Just scanning through your body, noticing your body as it's present right now. From your head, your neck, your shoulders, your arms and hands, your back, your chest, your belly, your low back, your hips, your legs, your feet. Just noticing what's present. And then again, just that check-in with your thoughts. Noticing how you're thinking right now, or the content of the thoughts. Whether the thoughts are fast or slow, connected, disjointed, all over the place, focused. Planning thoughts, thoughts about the past. Just noticing. You don't have to do anything with these thoughts. Just that sitting back and watching thinking happen. And then noticing emotions, whatever might be here right now. Whether there's just feeling neutral or calm or irritated, or big emotions or small emotions. You don't have to do anything with them. Just noticing. Simply allowing emotions to be present. And then as we begin our practice, as experimenting with our different ways of sensing, we're going to start with sensing our sense of groundedness. So as you begin feeling your feet on the floor, you might even wiggle your toes a little bit. Feel your heels. Feel the muscles in your feet. You might notice the feeling of the ground underneath you. And take a moment to notice. Are your feet resting on the floor? Is there a little bit of a contraction in your legs holding them up? Is one foot more heavy than the other foot? If you feel your ankle bones, those little knobby places on the outside of your legs, do they feel like they're extending down towards the ground? Or they're held up a little bit? And again, kind of comparing side to side. Does one foot feel like it's extending down further than the other foot? Does the outside of the ankle feel different from the inside of the ankle? I notice for myself there's the slightest little bit of contraction in my legs where it feels like it would be no effort at all to lift my foot right off the ground. And it's almost like I have to exhale. When I exhale, my foot gets heavier And I can feel a little bit of a release in my calf. And again, no right or wrong. You're not going for anything in particular, just experimenting and playing. And notice what makes your feet feel heavier. What would allow your feet to sink just a little bit more into the earth? I also notice that my right leg feels a little bit higher than my left leg. It's easier to let that right leg kind of sink down into the ground, whereas I'm almost poised to take a step with the left leg. So just noticing what your feet feel like for you. And from there, moving up to your legs, feeling your legs on the chair, and the chair supporting you, the chair on the ground. And sensing into your legs, your thighs, from your knees all the way to your sit bones. Can you feel the weight in your thighs? And does it feel even from the whole length of the thigh? Is there more weight at the sit bones or towards the knee? Does one leg feel heavier than the other leg? Noticing if they're turned in or turned out. Is your inner thigh pressing towards the chair, or more of your outer thigh, or just directly beneath the leg bone? Again, no right or wrong. There's no way it needs to be. Just sensing your legs. Again, I almost notice that sensation where I'm just slightly holding myself up a little bit, as if it would be really easy to just step right up. Or you might notice that you're sinking way down into the chair. And it would be way too much effort to actually get up out of the chair. Simply noticing. And noticing your pelvic bowl, your sit bones, your pelvis. Noticing how you are holding yourself up. This base here that holds the rest of the torso up. Are you squeezing yourself up and holding it tight? Are you relaxed down into the chair? What would allow you to exhale and feel a little bit more weight in the chair, allowing the chair to hold you up just a little bit more? And again, no right or wrong here. Maybe there's nothing that needs to change. Just experimenting, just playing, simply noticing how your body responds. Noticing, what does it feel like to be aware of your seat, your legs, your feet. Really noticing your body being supported by the chair and the ground. It may feel comfortable and relaxed, or it might feel a little anxiety provoking, or it might feel neutral. And from here, slowly, just gently opening your eyes just a tiny bit so that you can see the room around you. You don't even have to move your head a little bit. Just using your peripheral vision, locating yourself in space, noticing the computer in front of you versus the corner of the room off to one side. And then maybe the other corner of the room on the other side. Even without looking, feeling up towards the top corner of a room. Noticing how far away it is or how close it is versus something that's right in front of you. And maybe noticing behind you. If you want to turn your head just slightly, you can. But feeling like that space behind your back, the room behind you just that little bit. Noticing the space behind you, around you. Almost as if you can see the back corner of a room on each side. And then still keeping that soft gaze, checking back in with feeling grounded. Feeling your feet, your legs, your seat. Did they change as you took in the spatial orientation of the room? Can you feel both of your feet on the ground and the corners of the room in front of you? And from here, allowing your eyes to close as we finish up. Simply almost taking in that sense of the room around you and your body at the same time. As you breathe, feeling that spatial awareness and groundedness and the breath. And the breath becomes that bridge to step back into that place anytime you need it. As you breathe and inhale, expanding that awareness to take in your whole body. And then exhaling, relaxing to your center. Taking a few more breaths. And when you feel ready, opening your eyes.